Hi everyone, this is Amara, and this is my channel Eyes Wide Shut. I've done a video part 1 just the other day about the hurricane in Jamaica, Hurricane Melissa, which happened a few weeks ago, and also about Andrew Holness. Now, check this out. I don't know how many of you ever heard of something called a HARP project? The HARP project, H-A-A-R-P, I believe. HARP project. If you never heard of it, go look it up. The HARP project. Yeah, this is a project which was started off in America, I believe, by their military there, right? But they've been messing around, experimenting with weather for many of years. Yeah, trying to alter the climate, trying to change the climate. Now, Hurricane Melissa. Did Jamaica and this Hurricane Melissa, was this a natural hurricane, or was it a man-made hurricane? Because some people are saying it was a natural hurricane, and some people are saying no, it was not a natural hurricane, it was man-made. Now, has HARP got anything to do with this hurricane? Did HARP also have anything to do with some of these other events that's going off in the world? Because it's all happening right now, all around the same time. Hurricanes and floods going on everywhere. Wildfires as well. Look what happened to Los Angeles. Yeah? Look what happened to Los Angeles. And Los Angeles is going to become a what? Smart city soon. They're going to turn it into a smart city, a 15-minute city, where people have everything that they want within this 15-minute city. The whole world, they're trying to make the whole world become smart. And this is the agenda of WEF and the UN, that by 2030, they would like to see in just about every country. Okay, I find it funny that Los Angeles, which caught on fire, and they're having the next Olympic Games there, land getting ready for the smart cities to come in before the next Olympic Games. Look at what's going on in other parts of the world as well, yeah? These landslides and these floods and all that, and it's all happening all kind of round about in the same time as well. Now, Jamaica, by 2030, Andrew Holness has talked about making Jamaica a hub, yeah, for technology. They want to be one of the leading technological institutions, or should I say, one of the leading countries in terms of technology by 2030. They want Jamaica to be like the Silicon Valley of America. So, isn't it funny? 2030 is only 5 years away from now. And Jamaica got hit really hard. Some people have said it's probably the worst hurricane that they've ever had there. Yeah? Recorded in recorded history, that is the worst hurricane that they've probably ever had there. They're still missing people. They're still missing children. They're still missing animals. I heard that the stench there where some of these buildings have come down, that's there's still people underneath rubble, and the smell is so potent when you go to these areas. So St. Elizabeth got hit. Westmoreland, I heard, got hit. These are places got hit badly. St. Anne's and St. James, I heard, got hit quite badly. And what's happening to St. Elizabeth? What's going to happen to St. Elizabeth? What is the plans for St. Elizabeth? Go look at my last video, which I dropped. What did Andrew Holness say he had in terms of plans for St. Elizabeth? I'm going to come back to that in a minute. But I personally think that there was some form of HARP project that was going on in in Jamaica. It was not a natural disaster. Okay, I believe that this thing was man-made. Yes, go call me a nutcase. There's loads of other people out there like me. You want to call us conspiracy theorists and are saying the same sorts of things. That this hurricane was not a natural hurricane. People who I've seen is put out videos. I've said they've never seen a hurricane like that in Jamaica. And there wasn't no lightning or anything. Yeah? And a whole heap of other different phenomena. It didn't come across like it was a natural hurricane. But let me realize something about Andrew Holness, because there's mixed opinions about this guy in Jamaica at the moment. Some people think that he's doing really, really well as a prime minister, and other people dislike him for some reason. Okay? I don't think it's just to do with this hurricane that's happened recently, but he's also come out against a guy in West Africa, okay, the president there, Abraham Traore, right, in Burkina Faso. And you're saying that something about Traore not being a democratic leader. Anyway, there's lots of Jamaicans and they've come out supporting Traore, yeah? So then Holness has gone back now and has apologized, yeah? Which takes bravery to do that sort of thing. He's gone back and he's actually apologized to Traore, okay? But was that a genuine thing? Or was he made to apologize? There's people much higher up, believe, than Andrew Holness that are pulling his strings. Most presidents and most prime ministers are controlled by a power that you cannot see. They're controlled by a hidden hand. I'm going to read out something about Andrew Holness and his things he'd like to try to develop there in Jamaica. Andrew Holness quotes about making Jamaica the Silicon Valley of the Caribbean and discussions on smart cities. Andrew Holness has repeatedly declared his ambition to make Jamaica, particularly Portmore, the Silicon Valley of the Caribbean, positioning it as a regional hub for technology and innovation. He has also spoken about purpose-built smart cities, including plans for Jamaica's first city in St. Elizabeth. Isn't that weird? Because that's where a hurricane hit St. Elizabeth pretty hard, yeah? It was one of the main places that this hurricane hit pretty hard. Bit of a coincidence, eh? Right. Designed to modernize urban growth and create sustainable, tech-driven communities. Andrew Holness on Jamaica as the Silicon Valley of the Caribbean. Portmore transformation. Holness stated, "We are going to make Portmore the Silicon Valley of Jamaica. We are going to make Portmore the city parish, and we are going to make Portmore the technological hub of the Caribbean." The technological hub of the Caribbean. Tech Hub vision. His plan ties Portmore's growth to digital industries, job creation and innovation, aligning Jamaica with push to expand its global services sector. Information Park. The opening of Portmore was framed as a step towards building Jamaica's tech ecosystem, leveraging a highly educated population and grow demand for ICT services. I'll read on. I'm not going to read through all of this, but I think you're kind of getting the gist. Smart city discussions. St. Elizabeth City in 2025. Wholeness announced plans for Jamaica's first city in St. Elizabeth, describing it as purpose-built urban space to spur development on the south coast. St. Elizabeth Smart City in 2025. Wholeness announced plans for Jamaica's first city in St. Elizabeth, describing it as a purpose-built urban space to spur development on the south coast. First purpose-built city. He emphasized Jamaica has never truly built a city from scratch. That should ring some alarm bells there, shouldn't it? That should definitely ring some alarm bells there. Building a city from scratch. And this project would be a modern, strategically planned smart city. I'm going to read on no more, right? But you kind of get the general gist. St. Elizabeth was hit hard, I mean hard, by the Hurricane Melissa and other parishes also in Jamaica. St. James got hit, St. Anne's, Westmoreland, yeah? All of these places. Jamaica was literally smashed to pieces, man. Now they're trying to build, I believe, a new infrastructure. Jamaica announced and now has established digital currency, the CBDC. The CBDC, centralized banking digital currency. Now, I got to ask you this. If everything starts to go digital, right? If money starts to go digital, how much control do you think you're going to have over your money? At the moment, you got cash still in Jamaica, yeah? You still got the dollars. But if that disappears or is withdrawn from the economy and you got just digital money, it will be centralized. That means it will be controlled by the state. It will be controlled by the government centrally, right? And whosoever they deem to roll out this digitalized money, you aren't going to have as much control over your money as you did before, right? Because they can cut off your money whenever they want. Remember, it's no longer cash, it is digital. That means it's easier to control. They will know your spending habits, they'll know where you're going to buy things, yeah? When you're flying, they'll know when you're going to fly. When you want to buy clothes, they'll know where you're buying your clothes. If you want to buy petrol, yeah, for your car, they'll know when and where you bought your petrol. If you have a house, they'll know if you have paid your mortgage or not. They'll know every single aspect of your life. But check this out. This is the real kicker. This is the real kicker. If they have control of your money, if you've done something wrong, they can stop your money. Okay? They can stop your money. Are you listening? They can stop your money. So if you go into a shop and you purchase meat or try to purchase meat, they can cut you off and say that you bought too much meat this week. If you use up too much petrol or your car is consuming too much emissions, they could stop you from having petrol. If you got a smart car, they can just stop the car, yeah, digitally. They can actually stop the car externally. They don't need to come to your premises in order to stop you from using your car. They can do this remotely. That's the problem with these smart cars. If you go and buy one, be aware that this thing can be cut off externally. Same thing with smart meters. If you've got a smart meter in your house, they can turn up the temperature. They can turn down the temperature, or they can just cut it off. They can just cut off your energy just like that. And they can do this externally. They don't have to come to your house, okay? They don't have to send anyone around to your house to cut off your electricity, your water, or your gas. It can be done remotely. The WEF, which is the World Economic Forum, and also the UN, once by 2030, they had this agenda. It was, first of all, Agenda 21, but then that's got delayed because I didn't think they expected the amount of pushback as what they were getting. So now they moved it to 2030, Agenda 2030. Go look up what Agenda 2030 means. Go look it up. You know, in China, there's the first people to roll out this digital currency. And along with it, something called a social credit score. So in China, there are people that are sleeping on the street. Why? Because along with the social credit, called a social credit score system, and with that, the government awards people for good behavior and take away points for bad behavior. Okay? So now the people, they've been locked out of society because either they've said something about the government online or they've done something which is disfavorable in the eyes of the government. There's a couple of dormitories. So check this. A couple of dormitories. Yeah? Which is like places where students live. Students were awarded good points if they ate up all of the food on their plates. You think I'm messing around? Go look it up for yourself, yeah? The schools where kids were awarded for eating up all the food off their plate and points taken away from them if they didn't eat up all the food on their plate. Man, check this out also. They were awarded points if they kept their energy in their rooms. That's their electricity and gas and lights. If they kept it at an efficient rate. However, if they found to be burning up too much electricity or gas, lights, points were taken away from them. There's a guy also in China and he was jaywalking. Check this one out. And he's jaywalking. He didn't cross the road on a proper point. So anyway, by the time he got to the other side of the road, they're taking money out of his accounts. They had surveillance cameras watching him. And by the time he got to the other side of the road, they're taking money out of his bank. They didn't ask him for it. They didn't ask his permission or his consent. They just went ahead and they took the money out. Jamaica, by 2030, they want to bring in digitalized currency in Jamaica. They want to bring in smart cities there as well. These 15-minute cities, these smart cities with the smart technology, smart meters, smart phones, smart fridges, smart meters, smart cars, and 15-minute cities, meaning that anything that you want, you can get within 15 minutes drive in the city, or 15 minutes walk, should I say, because they're trying to get rid of cars also. They're trying to get rid of cars and bring in these smart cars in place of cars that run by petrol, because of the emissions that these petrol cars give off. They want people to walk. They want people to cycle. They want people to use e-scooters. So 2030 is the agenda. You heard my man Andrew Holness talk about Jamaica in 2030 and the things that he wants to bring in place by 2030. And isn't it funny? He talks about St. Elizabeth, basically starting from scratch and building a smart city. I find it a little bit of a coincidence that what happened in Jamaica just the other day. People need to wake up. You got your eyes wide shut when your eyes should be wide open. Let me read out a couple of quotes from people. This is a kind of mood of Jamaica at the moment. Let me find these. Right, there's some group called the Citizens Action for Principle and Integrity. What justification is there for the level of hatred and disrespect directed at Prime Minister Andrew Holness? Where is the evidence of this man's alleged evil committed against Jamaica? When you look at the cold, hard facts, no other administration, the PMP or JLP, has delivered a body of works comparable to that of the most honorable Dr. Andrew Michael Holness. From record-breaking economic recovery to historic infrastructure development, the results speak for themselves. Name one leader who has accomplished this much for our nation. I'll wait. Well, you know what? The CAPI, you can wait forever. You can wait till hell freezes over. Because what is going to come to Jamaica is going to be like hell. Trust what I'm telling you. Yes, they're trying to develop Jamaica, make it a more technocratic type country with a lot of technology and science and all the rest of it. But remember also that there's going to be a lot of bots doing the jobs of human beings. You're going to have to walk around with digital ID cards. You won't be able to just purchase goods just simply like that. They bring in something called a social credit score system like they did in China. And it's going to come to Jamaica, trust, because it's going to be a worldwide scheme. The World Economic Forum, along with the UN, want this. They want a one world government. They want a one world government. And you know how many countries are signed up to this smart city scheme? You know how many countries are signed up to the 2030 agenda? A whole heap. In London, sorry, in the UK right now, there's a lot of people protesting against carrying around carrying around identity cards, because the government are trying to say that if you want to work, you're going to have digital ID cards. You're going to have digital ID cards. They think that this will help to stop illegal employment and people coming into the country illegally. But really, it's a guise for something else. Digital ID card comes in as well as digitalized money and the social credit score system. Our freedoms are gone forever. Our freedoms are gone forever, and we'll be locked in these 15-minute cities, similar to what happened in 2020 when you were locked up indoors and could only come out at a certain time. Do you want that? Let me see what some people are saying anyway. So that's CAPI. They made a quote, and there's another person here who said, "I love you, sir," talking about Andrew Holness. Him send help to poor people, them up in the bush. He them vote him in. Sorry about the English, but that's the way it's written. God don't know this man. He even casts off devils. Up to devil don't want to see him because he is more than the devil himself. So that's a negative quote. They said same thing about Mr. Trump, but God has put Mr. Holness a helm of this country. I think that's meant to be a head. He will protect him from negative people. I'm sorry people through bad mind try to hurt you. And I have sister who is doing the same thing to me. But God returned these evil deeds back to sender. In Jesus' name, amen. Some of the other quotes I'm trying to find here. Right. This is that was some of the positive quotes actually. That was some of the positive quotes. Now here's some of the negative quotes. You show no respect to those whom are most unfortunate, yet not allowed your freedom of speech. Let me tell you what he done. He consulted the dark world for power and cursed Jamaica. That's why he was calling for Obia to legalize, and he had to say that because it's at his service. This man is single-handedly bringing our great nation to its knees. This man is single-handedly bringing this great nation to its knees. And then I have also put a little remark here. Citizens' action for principle and integrity. The last line at the very end of your sentence, I'll wait. You'll be waiting for a very long time. Jamaica is controlled by the world elite. CBDCs, smart cities, the Internet of Things, bots taking over people's jobs. Much of Jamaica is being bought by foreigners and foreign interest. You cannot even access some of your own beaches. You cannot even access some of your own beaches. Stop depending on government and get together with like-minded people. You are giving your sovereign powers away when you vote for people who don't fulfill your requests. Many have their eyes wide shut to what is coming instead of having your eyes wide open. Instead of having your eyes wide open. Listen, you need seriously to wake up, Jamaica. Some of this technological innovation stuff, yes, it's good. But who's it really going to be benefiting in the long run? It always tends to benefit those ones at the top. Always tends to benefit those ones at the top. Because if you don't wake up now, I'm sorry, but your liberties will be gone forever. Right now in Europe, they're fighting for theirs to try and keep their freedoms. Don't give yours away, Jamaica. And you know what Bob Marley once said? The truth is an offense, but it's not a sin. The truth is an offense. It's not a sin. And it's so true because Some people hate truth. And no matter how much it's in their face, they don't want to see it. They want to hide away like they don't see what's really going on. But at the same time, I know some people are like rocks. Some people are like rocks. They don't actually see what's going on and they don't really care either, right? But you're going to care when it comes to your door. So you better start waking up and smell the coffee, as they say in America. This is Amara with part 2, with part 3 to come. Thank you.